So, you remember of Kings and Men, right? Yeah, that game that never actually came out. It tried to be the whole persistent world mod for Mount & Blade, but in a standalone game. And, you know, there was so much hype around it, and everyone wanted this game, and when it came out, it just wasn't that. And, of course, the devs then eventually gave up on it. Well, they're back, and, oh dear. No, I'm just joking. This game looks fucking incredible. Announced for early access launch this spring and developed by, of course, Donkey Crew, the makers of Kings and Men. This is Last Oasis. It looks a little bit like a cross between Guns of Icarus, if anyone remembers that game. That was fun while it lasted. And Rust/Conan Exiles type thing. And yes, it is another survival sandbox MMO, but the reason I'm making a video on this is because I think this looks so awesome. This is something that we haven't really seen in a game, and especially not a survival sandbox sort of MMO type game. I don't make these videos that much anymore because a lot of the time it's not really worth it. I only like making these videos on games that I absolutely love. A video where I will talk about a game and give you guys details before it's even out, because I want so many people to know about this, and I know it gets a lot of attention when people want to come to this channel to see these new games. But I've not done it for quite some time because there hasn't been a game that's really caught my attention. But this one definitely has, it's safe to say. But what about the backstory to this game? Well, the Earth's rotation has been halted, and the moon destroyed. The only habitable part of the planet is a small strip of land that moves as the Earth rotates around the sun. Most of the surviving humans live on a single giant walking city named Flotilla, but nomadic rival tribes follow in the city's wake, trading resources to keep the city moving and their own people equipped and fed. So this is a strange part of alternate history, or alternate future maybe, or maybe even the actual future. I mean, that's extremely likely to what's going to be happening. But there's only one type of part of the land that's actually habitable, which sort of limits the gameplay, but I would say in a good way, because open worlds have the problem where you can just do pretty much anything in such vast expanses. Cutting it down has these advantages to it. There's not going to be sparse areas of land with absolutely no one in it. It's always going to be active and people in it, and there is a center focus point. There's a city named Flotilla. Here you'll be going in and out and trading and everything, but it'll be constantly moving, which means that you have to constantly move your tribe. Maybe you're playing on your own, or maybe you're playing with tens, maybe even hundreds of people. You're going to have to constantly move, but how can you do that? How can you make forts and bases while you're moving? Well, as you can see by the gameplay, they have figured this out in the most amazing way possible. Now, the whole aim of this game is to not stay in one place. It is possible to build more permanent fortifications, but things such as lighter wooden structures, like houses and maybe thatched things, or maybe even floors or roofs and things, can actually be packed up and loaded into these large walker type ship tanks, sort of like walking ship things, and they can move and carry you to your next stop, or wherever you decide to set up base next. This way you're able to carry on moving throughout the world and never stay in one place for too long, otherwise you're going to run out of resources. But the idea, of course, is to always be on the move, making a tribe with your friends and never stopping moving, going from region to region, collecting resources, fighting with other tribes, or even making alliances or even economical decisions with trading. Now, looks like from the trailer that they're trying to take some of the combat from of Kings and Men and using those ideas into this game. The combat of Kings and Men was interesting. It had the sort of the four-way Mount & Blade blocking system, but with a bit more technicalities, as of course there were more directions, there was diagonals as well, so it wasn't quite as simple as that. And it was good. I wouldn't say it's incredible or as good as the Mount & Blade blocking system or combat system, but I would still say it's pretty good and better than all the survival MMOs and survival games that we have out at the moment. So if they're using this, that is great. Maybe they're using something that's more modified, or maybe they're completely starting from scratch and doing something completely different, which will be great. There's also some cool new assets and mechanics in this game. Things like grappling hooks. You're able to swing from tree to tree, or even ship to ship. You're able to, as you can see here, fire harpoons at ships and drag yourself in, so you can then board them by throwing your grappling hooks up and climbing up the ropes and charging the enemies face to face. You can even ram enemy ships. Of course, this will have consequences. You can't ram an enemy ship with a smaller ship. You're going to have either a bigger ship or a ship of the same size, and that's when the boarding commences. And these awesome shots of these ships clashing and men swinging from ropes, it reminds me sort of pirates boarding ships, and that's why I'm thinking more Guns of Icarus type thing as well, because that was a game that had a lot of airship type warfare and gameplay. And I really think mixing these two gameplays of the survival MMO and the sort of ship battles is going to be absolutely incredible. There's also artillery that you can build that can fire different things than grappling hooks. It can also fire bolts, I am assuming, maybe even explosive rounds of materials depending on what resources you have. You can also have these small fast moving crafts, because these big ones are for your cities, but maybe you want an individual craft. Maybe you can eventually even get crafts for multiple people, 1 or 2 people or 3 people, maybe on smaller crafts that will be faster, more maneuverable. You're able to take over enemy ships by flanking and even having these small skirmishes before big battles with your big ships as well. If you pull in your resources, of course, though, you can build these massive monstrosities to carry your base on and completely intimidate the enemies. Or you can even have a fleet of both, where you have your city on your big ship where you move from one place to another, but you also have flanking smaller ships that can guard. We don't know the types of ships that you can get other than these massive ones or the tiny ones. Maybe there's going to be other things. I also saw on their Discord, one of the guys was like, they were thinking of putting stilts in. They kind of pushed that idea to the side, but someone suggested it and they said that they thought about that, so maybe it might come back in where you can craft stilts, so even just running you can get faster. There's some crazy wacky ideas which I think separates this game from all the other survival MMORPGs out there. Do we know how many people are going to be on a server? Do we know how big this game is going to be? Not yet. Very little information has actually been released so far, but it has so much potential at the moment. There are sign-ups for the closed beta and things on their Discord. If you are interested, make sure you go and check it out. But let's talk a little bit about these walkers. Now, of course, they're made massive wooden structures, wind-powered. These are walking machines that you'll have to build with tons and tons of resources once you get a clan together. But they can be completely adapted to how you want to use them. They can be adapted for traveling, for having faster walkers, being able to move on terrain more. Maybe they're transporting different things like your temporary base, harvesting even, or even combat. And you can have multiple walkers, so maybe you can build one for transporting your bases, or actually building one that is a mobile base itself, and then having some combat ones for when you're guarding those bases, and of course some harvesting ones for getting the resources with these walking machines. There's also so many different structures and attachments that you can put on it. You can upgrade it and personalize your walker to your needs. I know I've said so many times that it is the mission to keep on moving, but there's a reason because of this, and this is because of the scorching sun. In order to stay ahead of the obliterating sun, nomads must explore new territories and slowly emerge on the eastern horizon from the side of the earth that has long been frozen in impenetrable ice. Yes, the sun here is so radiated that if you don't stay ahead of it, it will kill you. There is so many new mechanics and things that make this different. I can see so many inspirations from Guns of Icarus, Conan Exiles, Atlas, even Battle Royale games with the whole enclosing sun. Things like having to keep on moving because there's always a wall behind you pushing you forward. And these are things that are going to keep the momentum of the game and make it so set apart from different games of the same genre. Now, there's an estimated early access of maybe 1 or even 2 years. I'm hoping that even when it does come out in early access, I know early access is a problem, especially with these of Kingdom Men developers who, the last time they put a game into early access, it was a bit of a disaster. So hopefully they can sort it out this time, and when it is released in early access, it is at least what they've shown in the trailer, or at least most of it. But should we give them another chance? I know there'll be so many comments saying, screw these guys, they fucked us over once, let's not do this again. But I believe, of course, I'm not going to go all philosophical, but I believe that everyone deserves a second chance, and especially something like this, where this looks like a really incredibly hopeful idea. And it does look like something that is possible. I mean, after Kings and Men, it's right to be wary, and I am, of course, but looking at the trailer, this mostly looks like gameplay, which does give me more hope. A Kings and Men trailer seemed more like in-engine stuff and things that weren't really finished, but this gameplay trailer here looks like this is actually functioning in the game, which is definitely a bonus for these guys. I don't know though. Of course, I'll be making videos on it, so make sure you keep up to date with this channel. If you're a bit wary about it, you can watch this channel and I'll be making update videos as updates come out, and when the game comes out, I'll be making videos on the game, so you can even wait a bit, see what you think of the game from my videos, you can see it actually being played, and of course my opinions as well, and then you can make your decision. So this is a very debatable topic here, but make sure you leave your comments down below and I'd love to hear them. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I think this is quite inciting, this game, and even if it is a disaster, it's got a cool trailer. I shouldn't say that. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, I will see you in the next one.